Dolph
Sorry, I had a Swedish stroke. That's what we call those.
She had a Swederism.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Are they in the proper approach pattern for today?
Negative.
Hold the weapon! Now! Charge the lightning field.
So, Dolph is a fictional character created by comedy writer and performer Tim Conway. He was the main character in a series of direct-to-video films starting in the 1980s and 90s.
Skip, I don't...
What, is that not...
No.
Is that not it?
You're not quite... You're close. You're close. Try again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have been confused. Todd Rundgren is an American multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, multimedia artist, sound recorder, and record producer. No?
I think I'm going to have to stop you one more time.
Is that not it?
You haven't... No, you're so close.
Oh man, I must have not read that text right then. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I got my. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Did you find it? You got it?
I think so. Let's find it. Dolph Lundgren was born as Hans Lundgren in Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah, is that better?
Oh, that's the syndrome I wanted.
I hit the sweet spot there.
The Sweden spot.
Right the center of the bat, right there.
That's a long, thick bat. Blonde and gonna hit me all over.
You have no idea, my friend. Today, of course, we're talking about the world's most perfect being, the super being, the Quetzalcoatl himself.
Oh, man, that would have been a completely different film, wouldn't it? Oh, okay, all right, if Dolph is the Quetzalcoatl, if he's Paul,
yeah,
who do you have for Fade?
It's still Sting.
Still Sting? Okay.
It's still Sting. Right. Yeah.
I like the idea that he picks him up by his hips and they're fighting that way. It's like a dance fight.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I was thinking he does that thing where he's holding him on the top of the head while he swings at him, you know, like a little kid.
Maybe they'll just make out instead.
Well, Sting's into that tantric stuff. So, I mean, if you think...
Are you trying to tell me that Sting hasn't switched sides from time to time?
I'm sure he...
In the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today?
I'm sure every now and then a dude slipped in there. I mean, there's no way to know. I'm just saying that you think doing as long now, when you get that tantric shit in there with Sting, and it's like a 12-hour movie. Can't really...
That's a Jodorowsky of a different color.
It's a mountain of a different color. No, that was a Green Mountain reference. That didn't work out. So,
Holy Mountain?
Holy Mountain. I'm confusing that with another movie. I combined two different movies.
You need to bleach your butthole. That's what needs to happen.
Wow, is that really the...
That happens in that. There's so much shit happening in that film. That's just one of the many things.
Anyway, back to the most perfect being ever created. I would say that he was God's perfect creation if it weren't for the fact that it's still up in the air whether or not he is God. And if you think we're being facetious, only slightly, you have now entered the Church of Dolph, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I think people like us in geek fandom love Dolph Lundgren is because he's got a very diverse career. You know, he's been in a bunch of B movies, but wears it like a badge of honor. But also because genetically, he is the Ubermensch.
Yeah, nip that in the bud.
Which is, let me backtrack that a little bit.
Yeah. The reason we like him is that he's the Nazi perfect ideal.
The reason we like him is because Hitler would have been a fan. No. Let's move on. So,
okay. It's like, where are we going with this?
Oh, you know where we're going with that. Our obsession with Dolph Lundgren will become clear as we go along. It's both tongue-in-cheek and sincere. It's both sarcastic and completely genuine at the same time. So,
much like his career.
100%, and that's probably why we like him so much. So, Dolph Lundgren was born Hans Lundgren in Stockholm, Sweden, the son of Sigrid Birgitta, a language teacher, and Carl Johan Hugo Lundgren, it's a good Irish name, an engineer and economist for the Swedish government.
An engineer and economist?
Yes, and his mother was a language teacher, so you're already setting this dude up to a mensch for sure. He lived in Stockholm until he was 13. And then he moved, and this I had to look this up because this is fascinating. He moved in with his grandparents in a city called Nyland in the province or state, I don't even know which one they have in Sweden, but of Ångermanland, which is spelled Angermanland. Angerman land. Bad fucking ass. He grew up in a teaching, learning environment with the arts and music and exposed to all sort of what is often considered the liberal arts. At an early age, instead of pursuing the liberal arts, he decided to follow his father and went into engineering. After he completed his military career, yes, he was in the military, he enrolled in the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. There's still a monarchy, it turns out. Now, there Lundgren received a degree in chemical engineering.
With distinction.
In the early 1980s. And then a master's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Sydney, Australia in 1982. So already, pretty awesome. He's literally a genius in every sense of the word. I mean, he might as well be the president of Mensa. You look at this dude, you know, you've seen him in action movies and you see the kind of stuff he does and his demeanor, and you're like, nothing about that screams, I have a master's degree in chemical engineering, right?
He has an IQ of 160.
Jesus Christ, that's well above you and I. I mean, I don't know what yours is specifically, but I might know mine's not even close to that.
Anything over 160 is listed as extraordinary genius.
Wow. That is impressive. I think you and I probably are both technically genius IQs, but man, he blows us out of the water by far.
I'll give a sad note. Someone in Hollywood is reported to have a higher IQ than him, and that to be between 180 and 184.
Kevin Spacey.
James Woods, so pretty close.
Oh no, are you serious?
Yeah.
Then how is he a MAGA QAnon asshole? How does that work?
See, that's the thing. You find a lot of people within that realm who aren't stupid. They're not intellectually inferior. They're just completely misguided or evil.
Well, I think James Woods finally turned into the latter on that one, I hate to say. But he's dating like a 19-year-old or 20-year-old or something? I mean, come on. On top of the other horrible things that he says and does. So, on top of that, within 5 years of his first introduction, the martial arts, he had become a world-class competitor in Japanese karate. And we're not talking dabbled. This man was a world-class competitor. In fact, he holds the rank of 4th Dan black belt in Kyokushin karate and was the European champion from 80 to 81.
So it says on Elite Fighter Arts.
Is this a website you peruse frequently?
It's some spank make material.
Just imagine oiling these dudes down. Yeah.
Apparently he started training in judo at the age 16 while playing ice hockey.
So he's also an ice hockey player. Okay.
He then switched to karate a year or so later. Dolph started in the traditional Japanese style of Goju-ryo, but then switched to Kyokushinkai.
According to this bio that I was looking up, I think which is a little out of date, he had been awarded the 3rd degree black belt by the World Karate Organization in Tokyo, but I'm pretty sure he's gotten more than that since because he still actively competes in international tournaments all around the world. He was captain of the Swedish national karate team, which that's like a Jamaican bobsled team, and I didn't see that coming, as well as the Swedish, European, and Australian heavyweight titles. He's actually a worldwide champion. In 1996, he was selected by the Olympic Committee to serve as team leader of the 96 U.S. Olympic pentathlon team in the Atlanta Games. And if you don't know what the pentathlon is, it is bananas.
Wait, let's see who goes first. Pressure, you know? Okay, you put pressure on that.
Since I'm the best shot, it's better that I go first, put some pressure on you guys.
All right, let's see what you can do.
Justin can probably actually.
I'll talk tonight. I know. Ooh. Shake and bake, but that might be it. It looks like it's in the black. Ooh, wow. 9. God. Maybe a 10. This guy gets better every time. Oh. 10. So I get to go next to you.
Here you go. No fakes, no effects. This is it. It's a real thing. Right, Mike.
Gotcha.
What?
Yeah, so I shoot 10 like that.
I have a pretty good shot.
If that's where you do like cross-country skiing, trap shooting, I don't know, underwater bowling, whatever the fuck. It's one of the most bizarre events in all of sports because it requires physical endurance, then world-class target shooting. Have you ever seen the pentathlon?
Oh, yeah, of course. Obviously.
Why wouldn't you have seen the pentathlon?
I am a world-traveled man of high esteem.
You are worldly. So here's how nuts the pentathlon is. It consists of fencing, freestyle swimming, equestrian show jumping, pistol shooting, and cross-country running. Of course, it's changed a lot. Currently, as of 2020, it consists of 3 separate events for fencing, swimming, and equestrian, which determines the athlete's starting time in the final event, which is now called, you're going to love this, the Laser Run.
Whoa.
Which is also, I'm pretty sure, a movie starring Dolph Lundgren. It alternates 4 legs of laser pistol shooting. What the fuck?
Yeah,
That can't be real.
We live in the future.
You get a choice of a phaser or a blaster, depending if you're a Trek or Wars. And of course, it's been in the Olympic Games since 1912, despite several attempts to remove it. And world championships for the modern pentathlon have been held annually since 1949. That is incredible. So just think about the diverse events you have there, okay? To be world ranked, capable of competing on a world stage at any one of those events, swimming, equestrian events, pistol shooting, especially laser pistol shooting, which I'm pretty sure starred Brandon Lee, and cross-country running. To be world-class in any of those events is amazing. He was good enough to do all 5. That right there alone, I would already have published a book and be banging supermodels. Which, by the way,
Which he probably was, yeah. In 1979, was serving in the Swedish Marine Corps.
Oh, he's a Marine?
Yeah, and the second World Open Karate Tournament in Tokyo, one of the earliest international full-contact tournaments. Still only a green belt at the time, Dolph had to borrow a brown belt 1 level higher to be able to fight. Dolph knocked out his first 2 opponents with a hizageri, which is a knee kick to the face, and the crowd started to take notice. In his next fight, Dolph went up against the overwhelming favorite for the world title, Makoto Nakamura. Dolph weighed 205 pounds against Nakamura's 245 pounds. Nakamura was a second-degree black belt at the time, while Dolph was only a green belt. And he attacked immediately, and Dolph caught him with a roundhouse kick to the face. The crowd gasped. They sensed that this Lundgren could be more than Nakamura had bargained for. The fight went the distance, plus 2 extensions, and Nakamura was awarded a controversial decision. This proved to be the eventual world champion's hardest fight.
Christ, he was a green belt? Good lord.
Dolph went on to win the BKK British Open Knockdown Heavyweight title in 1980 and 81, and also became Australian Open champion in the individual and team events a year later. Now a Shodan, first-degree black belt, at the age of 23, Dolph went to Australia to study chemical engineering on a scholarship for a year.
There you go.
He had his own karate club at Sydney University and made some extra money doing security for music acts that were touring at Sydney. That is where he met Grace Jones.
He definitely did become a bouncer later on in New York, in Manhattan, at the famous Limelight Club. And if you guys don't know what the Limelight is, it's been featured in Venture Brothers. Is that the one from Party Monster, too? It has locations in New York, Chicago, Atlanta, London, and Hollandale. What the fuck is that? Basically, the Limelight was the it club in the 1980s for the party scene. I mean, you would see people like Warhol, Debbie Harry, Burt Reynolds. I mean, think of Studio 54, but set in an old church. Episcopal Church of the Holy Communion, a Gothic revival brownstone built in 1844. It was a club that was depicted in the 2003 biopic Party Monster starring Macaulay Culkin and Seth Green. Not a great movie, but it is a true story. But it's been closed since 2007, so famous people have seen there, Tom Cruise, Liza Minnelli, or just Liza. Michael Jackson, Pia Zadora. Why Michael Jackson and then Pia Zadora? Like, people remember Rick Springfield, maybe Van Doren. Okay, I guess those are celebrities still. And then Rebecca De Mornay. The one in Atlanta was located next to a 24-hour Kroger, which is now referred to as the Disco Kroger. That's really,
yeah,
really
so apparently
good.
he was on the East Coast at the time, back in 1983, because he had been awarded a Fulbright scholarship to MIT.
Isolate that.
He started hanging out at this club a little bit as a bouncer, but it wasn't full-time yet. That's where he met Grace Jones, who suggested he try out to be a henchman in a James Bond film called A View to Kill.
A View to a Kill, one of the greatest Bond themes by Duran Duran. Christopher Walken with dyed blonde hair, which is really odd. When he was in New York, he was studying drama at the Warren Robertson Theater Workshop in Manhattan.
Because at this point, he's dropped out of MIT. He's put his scholarship on hold.
2 years he dropped out of MIT, which, wow.
Well, he got enamored with some modeling and acting stuff after being in A View to Kill.
So you're at the hippest club in all of New York, which automatically made it one of the hippest clubs at that time in the world. An infamous club with crazy shit that goes on there, and he's a bouncer. So he has to be pretty badass when it comes to that, right?
He's a bouncer alongside Chaz Palminteri, who is also a bouncer there.
So he's got some cred, too. But he also still cannot pick Kaiser Soze out of a lineup. So you're there. Across the room, the crowd seems to part, and there is the 6'4" Amazon Grace Jones, who also may be one of the most badass human beings to ever live. And she spots Sir Dolph Lundgren staring people down as they slam into each other in drug-fueled mania. And she says, "That one, he's mine." Can you just imagine the children they would have had together? I mean, they would have given birth to the Quetzalcoatl. The sky would have opened and their child would have descended from the heavens. And if you know who Grace Jones is, we'll probably get into Grace Jones at some point because she did a lot of cool, geeky stuff too. Supermodel, tremendous athlete.
A singer. That's her main thing, yeah. A gay icon.
She was also in Conan the Destroyer and View to a Kill. And it's just an all-around complete badass. During the filming of View to a Kill, there's a scene where she walks into a room and Roger Moore, as Bond, is laying on a bed, nude, of course, under satin sheets. And the camera is looking into the room from outside the doorway. She walks in, climbs on the bed where he does his Bond thing and rolls over on top of her, in a sort of like dominance thing. And unscripted, she immediately flips him over, throws him down, climbs on top of him, and then the doors close. In real life, in the filming of that scene, Roger Moore got really upset because she was wearing a giant dildo. It still made it into the movie. You can't see the dildo in the movie, unfortunately, but if you watch that scene, watch the look of fear and surprise in Roger Moore's eyes, like his world is about to come to an end.
Oh, it's going to come, all right.
It's going to happen. So Grace Jones, a badass, and she decides the only person she wants is Dolph Lundgren.
Well, maybe not the only person she wants.
At that time. Right then and there, she had to have him.
Yes, but I think she also had to have, a bunch of people every night as well.
Yes, but they started a relationship.
Yes, that's yeah, I know. They became boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh, they held hands. They built a tree house. Grace Jones is one of those people, I have to say, that if Grace Jones sees you, locks eyes, comes up to you, and is like, "You, tonight, now," you're legally obligated to go, "Yeah, okay, yeah." It's kind of like with it doesn't matter. There are certain people, despite sex or gender, like Bowie or Prince or, Grace Jones or, anybody that sexually powerful comes up to you, well, I'm going to fuck you tonight. Whether you want to or not, you just kind of have to go, all right, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do? It's David Bowie. What are you going to say no? I mean, come on.
It's Bowie. Come on.
It's Grace Jones. If Grace Jones wants to fuck you, you'd be like, well, you could write a book just based on that night.
Time to batten down the hatches.
Yeah. So, sure, she was banging everything that moved that she wanted. Absolutely. She could have whatever she wanted. Dolph did leave MIT, prompted by Grace Jones, and he permanently moved to New York, where she got him into acting and modeling. And that, of course, led to his debut role in film as a KGB henchman in A View to a Kill. All because of Grace Jones.
Huh.
What?
It says his height is 6'2.5", but his
What?
peak height was 6'5". I gotta find out the details at celebheight.com.
Like wiki height?
Yeah, huh.
Well, according to IMDb, they actually met in Sydney, he and Grace Jones.
Yes, I read that as well.
It's a little confusing the way they say it because, like, he was a bouncer at the Limelight, but apparently they met at a club in Sydney, and then he moved to Boston, and then he moved to New York, where she convinced him to drop out of school and all that. So it wasn't that they met at the Limelight.
Well, he had already dropped out of school by the time he moved to New York.
According to IMDb, Jones convinced him to leave the university and move to New York. So, but I'm saying there's a lot of like kind of conflicting stuff on here.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of it's Hollywood stories, you know?
Once upon a time in Hollywood, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
That's true. Some of the details are not disputed. He was getting banged by Grace Jones.
As well as many as 5 girls a night that Grace would bring home for him.
Oh,
with him.
My God, yes. Are you kidding me? This is like nonsensical adolescent fantasies come true. Being gifted 5 women a night.
Which he described it as being exhausting.
Well, you gotta hook up with Sting and learn that tantric shit, man.
Can you tantric it with 4 or 5 people at a time?
Well, you have to, because like it's just time alone.
Yeah, but does it really work that way? I thought it was all about like connections as like part of the tantric thing.
Well, yeah, if you're using actual tantric doctrine or whatever, but it's Sting. I mean, it's more like he's just edging so that he can last longer. You know, that's really all it is. Being like, all right, let's go again. You know.
Hey, I'm not going to put anything past Fade.
Yeah, I'm not going to yuck his yum. Go for it, man. The killing safe word is the thing that just popped in my head. I feel like that should be a thing.
Mudim.
Fear's the mind killer. Fear's the mind killer. So right after that, this is a callback, ladies and gentlemen. He is cast in Rocky IV with Sylvester Stallone, where he plays Ivan Drago, the Soviet genetically perfect boxing championship for Russia, which actually is kind of like years ahead of its time because it turns out Russians actually produce really, really good boxers. Stallone thought he was going to end the Cold War with a lackluster Rocky movie.
He was cast in that, but Stallone didn't necessarily want that or like him. In Stallone's own words, he said, "He was like a real Terminator. And I hate this friggin' guy. I hate him. He's just too good looking. He's too perfect. And I loathe him. I'm sure the world will."
Sylvester Stallone suffers from little man syndrome. There's no possible way. I would say Napoleon syndrome, but that whole thing was a myth. Napoleon was actually not short.
Napoleon was 7 foot tall.
People don't know that. He was a hulking mass of a being. He was an orc, as it turned out.
The victors write the histories, my friend.
That is true. And his punishment for being a horrible despot was to live on an island on the beach for the rest of his life. Great. What a terrible tragedy. So that's the first real introduction to Hans Dolph Lundgren.
A whole new world.
Yeah. This is about the time he changed his name from Hans to Dolph, which was a family member on his mother's side. Like an uncle or something. And I've never read any description as to why he changed it. Maybe because Hans Gruber was a thing in Die Hard. I'm not really sure, but maybe because it was so like, you know, because you had Hans and Franz and you had Hans Gruber. And I feel like it was just the generic, if you're Scandinavian, you're called Hans. So he wanted to be different, I guess. Or there was already a Hans Lundgren in Hollywood, you know, registered with the acting guild or whatever. I'm not really sure. But of course, that performance put him on the main stage. And then immediately afterwards, he starred in the most ambitious, and this is saying a lot, the most ambitious canon film ever made, Masters of the Universe, adaptation of the toy line / cartoon, commonly known as He-Man. And of course, he plays He-Man with epic mullet. You know, aside Frank Langella as Skeletor. And by the way, still an awesome performance by Frank Langella. To this day, Langella loved playing Skeletor.
Oh, yeah. I think he did it for his grandkids, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like with Tommy Lee Jones and Two-Face. He only did it because his kids said that he should, even though he hated it. To be honest, as bad as that movie is, he destroys that film as Skeletor. He's so good.
Oh, and he's just chewing the scenery, and it is fantastic.
He's having it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, man. It's great. Yeah. He's on Eternia in that movie, man. Unfortunately, that was a big flop. I remember seeing Masters of the Universe at the theater, obviously being extremely disappointed. But it was a canon film. If canon films made films like they did back then today, well, okay, so as of a few years ago, canon films would have essentially been direct-to-video or like the quality of like sci-fi originals. Because they were picking up stuff like The Fourth Death Wish, Superman 4 away from Warner Brothers. They watch the Canon Films documentary if you really want to see the insanity. They did Invasion USA with Chuck Norris
And that documentary is called Electric Boogaloo, The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films. From 2014. Well worth your time. You're going to have a Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus. Golan and Globus.
I mean, we're talking about a movie that was not done by a major studio. Canon was kind of a joke studio. They were just throwing money at ridiculous projects, elevating B-movie actors, or at least typecast actors into big roles. Today, Golan Globus would have produced like their own streaming service. You know, like they'd have their own Roku channel.
I mean, yeah, but it's hard to say. I mean, it was such a different time. The studio system was so different. It's hard to make a one-to-one comparison. They were kind of their own thing that can't ever really happen again, because it wasn't quite just crap B movies, but it wasn't high-quality things either.
A guy or a couple of guys that somehow made it into mainstream movie production, despite themselves. So, of course, you hook up with Canon, you're good for a long time.
But, I mean, did you know that Canon won the 1987 Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film?
Canon did?
Yes, yeah.
For what?
The 1986 Dutch film The Assault. Also won the Golden Globe that year.
The Golden Globus?
We're
just going to skip past that.
Moving right past it. Their Othello, which I guess is Othello, received a Golden Globe nomination that year.
Yeah, but the Golden Globes, who knows? It's like the People's Choice Awards. Like, what does that really mean?
But they almost made a Spider-Man film.
Oh, yeah, they did. That wasn't the Cameron one, was it?
I don't know if that was them. I want to say yes.
But didn't Cameron come out of Canon? I mean, or maybe I'm wrong, but I know he was an underling of Corman. And Corman, I'm pretty sure, did some Canon stuff. Stuff you would see on Channel 62 at Friday night or whatever, or Saturday morning. But anyway, Masters of the Universe was one of the biggest properties in the world. We're coming out of the 80s era when they did multimedia popular franchises like Transformers, toys, and a cartoon, and comics, and then a movie. The 80s was it wasn't the first time, but that's when it really became the standard in, I guess, entertainment. I don't want to say children's, because it wasn't just for children, but like in the 80s you saw the resurgence, the reinvention of G.I. Joe, thanks Larry Hama, Masters of the Universe, Thundercats, Transformers, where you create a property that is designed to be not that, see, because like normally it would be like, oh, a movie comes out or a TV show comes out, and then they make toys about it, and then they make a movie. This was...
Well, it's the reverse engineering of the Star Warsification of commodified entertainment.
Yeah,
Star Wars, like it had these movies, did really well. Let's keep it in house. Let's make toys from them. Let's make lunchboxes, shirts, posters, everything. And then, well, why do we need the film to come out first? We can start doing toys, lead into television, which then leads into movies, which became the standard in the 80s.
It was the standard in the 80s and is kind of still used today. Not quite in the same way, but like, you know, like I think everybody's still living off of the success of the 80s when it comes to that. I mean, because when a movie comes out, whether it's good or not, like an IP, especially like, you know, let's say superheroes, because that's kind of the main thing with that is the movie's about to come out. You're going to see the toys. You're going to see the comic tie-ins. You're going to see sometimes TV shows, cartoons, what have you, based on that IP, whether the movies come out or not. And that all stems from the 80s, and canon was all over that shit. And so Masters of the Universe was huge. I mean, it was a worldwide success. And to cast a virtual unknown like Dolph Lundgren was a really big deal.
Was it a worldwide success?
No, not the movie. The movie tanked.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's what
I'm sorry.
Okay.
The IP of Masters of the Universe was huge all around the world. It was huge. You know, everybody had the toys, the comics. Everyone watched He-Man. All 4 minutes of original content per episode of He-Man, thanks to Funimation. That's actually one of the first times also that they had outsourced animation from America to Asia. I think they were Korean. I want to say Funimation. I know. Well, yeah, because it's a Japanese company, but I'm pretty sure they outsourced all that animation to Korea at that point. And so it was a big. The Masters of the Universe as an IP was a huge success. And so like there was a lot riding on that, and to cast a virtual unknown to play I mean, his name is He-Man. He's supposed to be the ultimate, you know, masculine figure, literally and metaphorically. And so who else but Dolph fucking Lundgren? So unfortunately that movie did flop, but it didn't. I think the flop of that movie may have changed the course of Lundgren's career, because that and Rocky IV were his two biggest mainstream Hollywood roles, essentially. I mean, he played bit parts in other stuff that would come later, like Aquaman and The Expendables, but
it's long later.
Way. Well, he did stop acting for a long time. Remember, The Expendables was like his quote unquote comeback. He was out of that for a long time, but you know, and most of his career would have been relegated to direct-to-video, or you know, what used to be called direct-to-video. Now it's just like, well,
actually, he didn't stop. There wasn't a big gap.
Well, I'm saying in the mainstream. What we used to call the mainstream. Yeah,
he had just been doing made-for-TV, straight-to-video, straight-to-DVD.
Mm-hmm. Which, you know, there really is no mainstream anymore thanks to streaming. You know, just like in geek culture in general, there is no mainstream. There is no, like, it's all just pockets of niche things that are equally as popular as what we used to call mainstream. So the world, what?
I'm sorry. I was looking at his profile. He did a film in 2004 called Fat Slags. I know. Well, I had to look, and it seems to be two large women.
Oh, no!
Hit the big time and become celebrities for some reason.
Did it have to be called
that?
It
looks like they are just in fat suits.
Oh no! Oh God!
Jerry O'Connell's in it.
Were the Wayans brothers involved somehow?
As is Jerry Horner, formerly known as Jerry Hollowell.
As Jerry O'Donnell.
Anthony Head is in it.
Well,
Naomi Campbell.
She's not even an actress.
No, I'm just looking at names that I recognize.
Not in that movie, just in general.
Yes, actually.
Just on a... He's on Just Jared, just looking down. And, I know that celebrity.
I'm on CelebrityHeights.com.
Callback, good. And then, of course, so Masters of the Universe tanked, but it didn't really stop the Dolph train. He managed to carve out a niche, and the reason we mentioned that it may have changed the course of his career is because, you know, that was a what we would at that time call a mainstream Hollywood hit, Hollywood role, and after that, he really didn't do much else that was considered mainstream. It could have been because, the establishment in Hollywood thought he wasn't bankable because of the failure of the He-Man movie. And so he managed to carve out a niche in the B-movie genre, and mostly action, almost like 99% action films. But man, was he successful in that as well. He went on to play Nikolai Petrovich Rodchenko in The Red Scorpion in 1988.
Red Scorpion.
He then starred in 1999, still the best Punisher movie, The Punisher.
Yes, not the best Punisher.
No.
But the best Punisher film.
100%. And the sad part is, it's not even close. Tom Jane's Punisher, not a good movie. Not really, not my Punisher. And then Punisher Warzone, though done by a brilliant director, a terrible film. And until the Netflix Marvel Studios Punisher, easily the best Punisher adaptation that's ever existed. And it's not good.
I would disagree with
You don't
that.
think it's Dolph Lundgren's Punisher is actually a good film?
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the Netflix show.
No. The Netflix show is great.
Oh. Sorry, you just said that, and then that's not good, so I didn't see the...
I meant that... You're right. I should have clarified. It's the best Punisher outside of the Netflix one. Until the Netflix one, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher was the best Punisher, and it's not good. Which says a lot about the quality of Punisher films that were out there. And now it's just douchey QAnon-related iconography. It's really bad. That's why they had to change the Punisher logo to a really shitty one. So then he did, and we'll come back to this in a second, but in the 1990s, he appeared in films like a little film called Dark Angel, a.k.a. I Come in Peace. Which is shocking that was the 90s, because it's the most 80s film I could possibly think of.
It was made in the 80s. It came out in 1990.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is still in the 80s, essentially. Have you seen this movie Pentathlon?
No, is that really a movie?
An Olympic gold medalist escapes to freedom in the U.S. only to be tracked down by his sadistic ex-coach.
I thought you were going to say like the Soviet Union.
It's the guy who directed Hard to Kill? And Nighthawks directed...
Hard to Kill. Who directed that? Who was that directed that?
Bruce Malmuth.
Okay.
You know, Bruce Malmuth.
I've got a poster of him on my wall. Yeah, I know.
I always tell you, stop talking about Bruce Malmuth. You might know him as the ring announcer from The Karate Kid.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Well, speaking of poster on our wall, and this is the last bit we'll talk about with this, is that, Jake and I went to college together in a small town in northern Missouri, and he and I had already had plenty of conversations about Dolph being the amazing creature that he is. And we went to the Salvation Army one day, and for some reason, they had a poster all rolled up in a corner of the 1998 Dolph Lundgren vehicle Blackjack. So, of course, we had to have it and had it hung proudly.
You know, we had two posters. Do you remember that?
What was the other one?
The other one was the 1996 direct-to-DVD vehicle Silent Trigger.
Yes, you're right. I forgot about the Silent Trigger one.
Where he just plays shooter.
One of the reasons the Blackjack was such a great poster to find was because not only is that a completely random poster to find at a thrift store in northern Missouri, but the premise of the movie Blackjack is Dolph Lundgren plays an assassin. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, I believe that is true.
Where he's literally afraid of the color white because his family was murdered? No. The climax is in a milk factory. He's literally afraid of the color, which is not a color. It's all colors.
The absence
of
color?
No, that's black. He's afraid of the color white, so he wears tinted eyeglasses, not sunglasses, tinted eyeglasses, so nothing looks white to him. The phobia is so intense that he will go into Firefox-style flashbacks of the traumatic event, becomes completely disabled. And so, of course, the climax of the film happens in a milk factory. Which, milk factory? I mean, that doesn't really seem like it, but it is.
Hey, Jimmy, stop producing the milk.
Got to get this milk on the shelves. If I remember right, doesn't he drive a tank, like an armored assault vehicle, into a milk factory?
I might have to refresh my memory on Blackjack.
The last time either of us have seen that movie was probably 2001 or 2.
Yeah, most likely.
But still, it rings true, my friend. Like,
3 things you need to know about Blackjack the movie. 1, it was directed by John Woo. 2, this was supposed to be an extended movie pilot for a Dolph Lundgren TV series that never came to be.
no, the world was deprived of a masterpiece.
3, as the IMDb trivia will tell you, Dolph Lundgren does not take his shirt off in this movie.
And the world mourned.
In 1988, Dolph passed his third Dawn promotion, suffering through a grueling 20-man kumite and fighting 20 successive opponents, one after the other without a
Was
break,
it to the death? Please tell me it was to the death.
as well as 3 hours of technical examination.
Kumite!
God, you walk into the kumite and you see Dolph fucking Lundgren there?
It's over.
I'm done. That's it.
Yeah, screw that. Yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's all I just wanted that one little bit. I didn't want to lose that. That was too choice to...
I believe he was part of an actual kumite. That's amazing. So one last nugget that I'll say about Lundgren. If you want the perfect encapsulated example of Dolph Lundgren's skill set, he's already got a master's degree in chemical engineering. He's already essentially been in the Olympics, been an actor, and multiple world champion martial artist. Just go on YouTube and search Dolph Lundgren Melodifestivalen.
You probably would need to spell that.
Melodifestivalen, Melodifestivalen. It's an annual Swedish singing competition, and he was the host. Just look that up on YouTube. And if worse comes to worse, just look up Dolph Lundgren award show, and you will see exactly what we're talking about. This is maybe the greatest video that's ever been put on YouTube of all time. Let's see if I'll pull it back up.
Holy shit. There's one in the 2010 where it's him and Rick Springfield doing Eye of the Tiger.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, wait, it's not Rick Springfield. It's just some guy.
He was in something with Rick Springfield, though. I know, I looked it up.
It's a trio of him, this woman, and this other guy. After Sly Stallone does an introduction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is fantastic.
Oh, I see which one you're talking about. That one's that was 2010.
Yeah.
It may actually be the same show, but a different segment. So if you look up, Dolph Lundgren Melodifestivalen. So in this, let's watch it together so we can talk about it.
Okay, all right.
Oj då, så kan det gå i direktsändning. Jo, jag sa att här står jag bredvid den åtråvärda sångfågeln, första priset, designad av självaste Ernst Billgren.
Okay, so this is...
Och har ett värde...
Oh no. Something fell on the award. That's a portent of things to come. Dear God. Kumate! The lights go down.
I think Dolph just fought the electricity in the place.
To the death.
Gud vad obehagligt. Vad är det som händer?
Jag vet inte.
Är det sabotage tror du?
Sabotage? You would expect Beastie Boys to play, but no.
Vi hotade. Det är någon som vill vår tävling illa.
Nej men vem kan vilja oss illa?
Ja, ingen aning.
Är det kvällspressen?
Är det norrmännen?
Är det Skavlan?
Vi måste reda ut vem det är som ligger bakom det här. Vi måste ringa Hamilton.
Ja, du menar Cockroach.
Nej, jag menar Eva Hamilton.
Va?
The lower third that I can't read.
Rostingen är nu avvolstad.
Oh shit. Here comes Dolph Lundgren with a torch and a tuxedo. A double-breasted tuxedo.
Man. He's so fucking awesome.
Just wait. Now, the Elvis song A Little Less Conversation just started playing. He handed the torch off. He passed the torch, as it were. Now there are dancers dressed like the Supremes. Oh, and now he starts a choreographed dance sequence.
Of course he does.
Of course he does, because he's Dolph fucking Lundgren. where he's singing in English after just speaking Swedish. When he points into the camera.
Yes, oh, it's great. I like the second part. It's like, kind of.
Now,
I don't know if you can satisfy him.
but just wait.
Start walking. Yeah, come on, come on. Come on,
This is the greatest video ever put on YouTube.
procrastinate, don't articulate, grow, stand late, right waiting around. Yeah.
Okay, so now he has left the main stage and is got behind a drum kit and is now going to do a drum solo. Holy shit! And now, he's not done. Just wait. Here we go.
Yep. Moving along. Oh, hey, karate guys.
He's just
One board.
He's currently breaking wooden
Two
boards.
Three boards.
By three dudes in keys, dressed in a tuxedo. Oh, here we go. He's now going to break 4 blocks of ice with his arm.
Huge blocks of ice. You know why? He hates this ice.
A couple doesn't seem to give a shit. And now, back to the dance sequence. It's so great.
Grab your coat and let's start walking. Yeah, come on, come on. Come on, come on.
You tell me he's not...
You know, it is impressive, but I don't know if we need him necessarily singing, because that's not his...
singing.
He can do everything, but maybe not singing.
Yeah, but it's in English, so a lot of people are like, I don't know.
Well,
Granted, he can't hit any of the notes, but... Where did the guys in the vests come from? Did he conjure them from his mind?
Would you be surprised if he did?
No, not at all. And that was the intro to the award show he was on.
Truly, one of a
The
kind.
most badass man alive, right there.
I'm not gonna fight you on it.
I mean, I wouldn't fight him.
Break me like your ice.
So I imagine, yeah, I think you're right. I think all those dancers were tulpas created strictly from the mind of Dolph Lundgren himself. That right there is completely emblematic of the gestalt of Dolph Lundgren. Just because he could, and nowhere in any of the bios we read or have looked into does it say that he can also play the drums and dance and sing, but poorly. But there he is, the god among men, Dolph Lundgren.
What else can he say?
Here's the first comment on here. Is Dolph Lundgren secretly 7 people? Yes. And then the next one is a singer, dancer, chemical engineer, karate master, boxer, actor, and can speak 7 languages.
You know what he is? He's everything all at once, come to life.
Yes, he is all that is man. This is possibly the greatest all-around performance by any human being has ever participated in. Drums, cool. Boards, not bad. Meh, seen it all before. And then, in all caps, holy shit, the ice!
I think Dolph Lundgren's would have sunk the Titanic.
Dolph Lundgren may also be the second shooter on the grassy knoll. And then there's a bunch of comments in Swedish. That was the award show, Melodifestivalen, that's what determines who goes on to compete in Eurovision, which is like one of the biggest worldwide sensations of all time, but, you know, just for some reason not in America. So,
well, it's like soccer. Everybody else in the world loves soccer, but America's like, nah.
Everybody's like, whatever, who gives a shit? I like this comment here. He's the hero Sweden deserves, but not the one it needs. What a man. There's a good one. It almost gave me a heart attack when he started to sing. Oh, okay, this one's just misguided. Only Dolph can walk on stage and start singing Elvis in a perfect pitch. Are you deaf, or... Oh, no, this is great. This is an actual comment. He's got more showmanship than Booster Gold. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a deep cut comic book reference right there.
That's oddly pointed.
Yes, wow. But yeah, he does speak 7 languages. Let's not diminish that.
And he also directed Jerry Springer as President of the United States.
Oh, what movie was that? I remember seeing...
That's The Defender.
The Defender, right. He did direct a bunch of films, yeah.
Yeah, he directed a ton.
Including one called, I think it's called The Mechanic in English, even though it's spelled the Russian way, but it was called, The Russian Agent? Or what is that?
The Russian Specialist?
The Russian Specialist, yeah. That was one of his, it may have been his first film he directed.
I think he had directed some before then. I was looking into that.
Do you know he and Grace Jones were together for 4 years? That's for real. I mean, at that point, that wasn't just hit it and quit it. He was. I like this. Apparently, this person's comment, I think, was, I'm guessing autocorrect, or maybe I'm just missing something about Swedish, but it says, awesome, 3 exclamation marks, go Dolphin.
It probably just autocorrected.
But it's spelled with an A, so Dolphin. So I don't.
They continuously spell it wrong whenever they're typing.
Well,
and their phone learns.
Well, but it's posted by a guy named Harald Selving. So I don't know. Maybe that's a slang for I don't know. Fucking who cares? Dolph is the light in the darkness. Literally, he came out with a torch in pitch black. So yeah, I mean, true. You just karate chopped your way into my heart. Greatest video ever made. Then there's some weird conspiracy theory starts. They didn't notice. Show a replay of him breaking the first board. Watch for yourself. It looks like he partially misses, but it's still broke. I don't know how you fake ice breaking. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But anyway.
I don't know. It's just YouTube comments. Whatever.
He must break you. That's a good one. Hot guy. Only the Messiah could sing like Elvis, play drums like Moon, and do karate like Lee. You know what? That right there, that's exactly our point. Don't forget to pay your tabs. Don't forget to clean up after yourselves to some sort of reasonable degree. Don't forget to support your local comic shops and retailers. And from Dispatch Ajax, we would like to say, Godspeed, fair wizards.
Please, go away. Please, go away.